Welcome back to Gears and Queers, and welcome to my 2004 Acura RSX Type S. I've had this car for 8 years now, Chris, and it's going on 15 years since it's been built, and today I get to show you everything that's broken on it. Like I said, this is my 2004 Acura RSX. This was my first car. I bought this with my own money. Hi, me. It's pretty clear she's seen better days. Body damage wise, we're looking at quite a lot. We've got this lovely dent here, scrape, and I snapped my door handle off in a fit of rage, but I do have a replacement for that, so that's going in soon. And my dad's fitting the bill for that because he did it. So, hi Dad, thank you. Still waiting on that check. Your typical sort of front end damage here. I mean, you know, I learned to drive on this car, so she's quite battle hardened, but it's held up pretty well. Door dings, things that happen in parking lots, all the sort of expected trials and tribulations of living in a metropolitan area. And then there's this, which is probably the most cursed corner of the car. The bulk of this damage was done by a friend who somehow hit me when we were parked parallel next to each other and then skipped town and moved to New York. So shout out to her. In terms of self-inflicted wounds, I painted these wheels black with engine block paint when I was, I think, 16, and clearly they have not aged well. There's literally no clear coat left on them. They're turning gray and brown and terrible, so I'm in the market for a new set of stock painted wheels. Clear coat here on this section. I mean, it's obviously filthy as well, but it's sort of been sticking to this sort of deteriorating clear coat. I know it's a problem with these cars, but it's pretty rough, so that's gonna have to be resprayed. So, in terms of the interior, it's actually pretty solid in terms of general wear and tear and plastics. And I actually really like this interior. You've got sort of this driver pod with your climate controls and radio gauges, everything sort of angled at the driver. And I actually like the layout. This is a small car, and I'm 6'2", and I fit in it fine. I got plenty of headroom, even with the sunroof, and I've had no issues with that. But just sort of general wear and tear. Again, another common problem on these is the actual construction of these seats for the 2004. From when this car came out till about 2004, I think the actual seam for these two pieces of leather is right where your butt hits. And it splits within years. I've seen pictures of these things from like 6 months out, and the seam just splits. So the solution there is, I'm not really sure. I could get a pair of seats from a newer model where they sort of change this design and there's a bit more padding. They're not the most comfortable seats. They're not bad, but in terms of long-term or long-distance comfort, they're far from ideal. But that's an issue. I've got some just wear and like the floor mats and things like that. But the plastics actually have held up pretty well. So a common issue in these RSXs is the clutch slave cylinder, and this clutch has been replaced. I've had a new master cylinder put in. I've had a new slave cylinder put in, but they're known to fail. They've got a lot of moving parts, and a common sort of fix for this is taking the slave cylinder from the next generation Civic and putting it in. It's just simpler, it's more straightforward, but as you can hear, it squeaks. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's the pedal assembly or what, but I had worked on this about a year ago and that started up again. There's weird pressure issues, it sort of fails, it sort of heat soaks and starts to be less smooth. The engagement point changes. It's the oddest thing, and I've had plenty of people looked at it, and I'm on my, I think, third slave cylinder now. So might be looking to make the switch to the Honda Civic one, but in terms of right now, that's probably the major mechanical issue to work out. It's so annoying. I've been really religious about changing the transmission fluid. It kind of keeps these sort of well lubricated and the synchro issues to a minimum, but that's probably the weakest point of these cars, and sort of a hot topic of debate on sort of how to fix it. People get in there and do synchro swaps, or change the transmission fluid at even more less intervals and things like that. But those are probably the two main issues that need to be fixed on this car, is this squeaky damn pedal and the sort of finicky shifts you get from this. I also have heard that you can get the poly bushings in this linkage to sort of sweeten things up and make it a little more crisp. But there's a little play and there's just some wear and things that need to just be updated and replaced and all that. But I don't mind this interior. I really like this car. I fit in it pretty well. So it's served me quite well. So we're out on the street to illustrate the I don't know, 400th issue with this car, which is the suspension. And don't mind the squeaky clutch pedal in the background.
We covered that.
Okay. So this car is, I mean, it's basically an old gen Civic platform with a hopped up engine, which I don't complain about. But, you know, as the years have gone on, the bushings have worn, and it has become probably the most loud and uncomfortable car to ride in, because every single pothole, and we live in Midtown Atlanta, where it is just one big pothole.
The entire street is a pothole.
It is a pothole, and I feel like every bump I take in this car is shaking it to its structural foundations. So, I know a lot of this is bushings and just sort of the rubber components in the suspension, but it was kind of like this when I bought it as well. It's stiff, it's a bit uncompromising, it's not ideal.
And it just gets worse with age. It's like, it's not a comfortable car, it's not a luxury car, it's gonna be stiff, but you know.
Like tire roar, especially on the highway, every single bump is like reverbs through the seat.
Jarring.
Like, yeah, it's very jarring. So some bushing work needs to be done, you know, things need to be replaced, but the struts are all good. Like they've been replaced. So I'm not really sure how much hope there is in terms of comfort for this car, but it's a serious issue that kind of affects daily driving, especially in metropolitan Atlanta. Well, that's it for this old girl. I'm not really sure what comes next for this car. Obviously, I'll be fixing it up, but I'm sort of in two camps right now. I don't know if I go for a second car and sort of make this the sort of weekend joyride autocross special maybe, or if I just fix it up and sell it and see what I can get and see what we can put in for the channel that comes for, that kind of increases our automotive clout for Gears and Queers. But that's it for me. So say a prayer for my bank account and for Tina here. Bye, Tina. Hi, Chris. Bye.